Hey guys, this is Joshua Seth, voice of Tai on Digimon, and you're listening to Anime Secrets.
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Oh, yes! This is Goldar, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast. Don't tune us out, tune us in.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Smokin' Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Ridwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Kyoryu Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the Toku Secrets podcast presented by animesecrets.org, and today we're taking a brief break from taking a look at Boonboomger. We are going to be returning back to the current Sentai that is airing, Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger. We're taking a look at Bakuage's 31 through 35 today, which will bring us up to roughly where the series was. For some reason, I guess Superhero Time took a break last week on the week ending November 3rd, because neither Super Sentai nor Kamen Rider aired during that weekend. So, yeah, 36 literally just
because of daylight savings time.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's
why.
Sense. Okay.
It was on a Reddit thread or something. I saw like them talking about daylight savings time affecting Superhero Time, which I don't understand why that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make any difference, but it did. So, if you can explain to me why daylight savings time can affect that, please drop us a comment down below and let me know, because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. But with that said, let's briefly recap everything that happened last time. So, the Boonboomgers, they defeated Cannonborg, one of the big bads of the previous big bad of the Hashirians. They defeated him in a vicious battle. He tried to unleash this ultimate weapon because he wanted to prove to those three stooges that he was superior to Mad Rex. And immediately after that, the Hashirians' rebuilding chief, Disrace, he arrived on Earth, and he took over as the new captain of the Hashirians. And he was also using his rebuilding skills to revive Mad Rex. He used a recovered part of his, and he's now being called Mad Rex Fury. And it looks as if Mad Rex didn't retain his memory at first, and he's just kind of a soulless shell, just blindly serving Disrace. But now it's kind of looking more like he actually has retained his memory, but he's just keeping it a secret. And when Disrace appeared, it was revealed that Genba is an alien from the planet Bureki. His real name is Genbar Delivery II, which kind of a lame. Well, we already talked about how weird that of a name that was, but his planet, Bureki, was taken over and destroyed by Disrace, and Genba was determined to get his revenge on Disrace and step down from the team because he doesn't want to drag them into his personal quest for vengeance. And that brings us to our first episode here into this batch, Bakuage 31, a magnificent, sorry, my tongue gets tied when I say that word, challenge, where it's mostly a filler episode. Where Mira is working to help save this dying curry restaurant when the Hashirians take it over. A couple of plot-related things happen here. Genba actually gets into a fight with Mad Rex, and while he's searching for Disrace, and Mad Rex tells him where Disc races in exchange for relaying a message to Taya. Taya, he's pretty much asking Taya to kill him. And at the end of this episode, Sakito and Bune, they find Genba. He's lying, maimed, and unconscious after battling Disc race. Oh, and also Sakito does not transform into Boon Violet in this episode. Just a brief note. So what do we think about this one, guys?
I mean, it was fine. It's clearly like a transitional episode. I mean,
Honestly, it was really fun. I actually liked the. I know it's kind of like a filler episode, honestly, with nothing really important happening, but this was a really stupid fun filler episode.
it
Just to
was.
have fun. Like,
Honestly, though, to me, it feels really tame. Like, when we talk about episodes like this, I can't help but remember that Time Ranger episode where Domon was trying to help that aspiring soba chef to make the greatest soba ever, and then we got like this wacky cook-off between the monster and Domon and the guy. I kind of wish that they went all out with that, like Mira getting into like a curry cook-off with the monster. That would have
was that the one with the cockroaches and all that?
If you're talking about a cockroach,
And Time Ranger,
that was a G-Ranger episode where all the cockroaches appeared, dude.
Okay, look, I know we saw cockroaches at some point with a food establishment.
Yeah, it sounds like a Zoo Ranger plot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
it sounds stupid.
I don't remember the Time Ranger one that well. That's why I was trying to figure out if I did remember or not. But no, I don't remember. I remember the Zero Ranger crap because that was god awful.
I know.
Thanks, Patrick.
But yeah, I just kind of wish that they went all out with like a curry cook-off. And I don't want to badmouth this too much because it's a Mira-focused episode. Mira's awesome. I think she's great. So she's able to save the episode. But I kind of just wish, make it wackier. Like, give us a curry type of cook-off. Give us the type of stupid stuff that you would expect in an episode like this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I did. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Speak your mind.
No, what I was gonna say was that I do like the fact that the way the monster's ability works was that like it sped up time so that when they're eating the curry, the first bite, they're eating it quicker than they normally did, and then they're like, hey, "That's it." Because it remind me of that episode of Futurama where they're like, well, they'll skip time and not like, and also in JoJo's too with Part 5. You know what I'm talking about, Riz?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I understand, Nate, like where you're coming from with it not being wacky enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I also genuinely just liked the story. It wasn't anything terrible. It was still, to me, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
I liked it.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I get maybe this is not like your 9.5 you're hoping for. It may be like an 8.5 or 9 for you, maybe. But I'm assuming. I don't actually know your numbers for this yet. But
yeah.
That's kind of where I'm kind of leaning right now. That this is still a really good episode. Still in the same vein of what we'd expect from Boonboomger. Something stupid fun, but maybe not enough stupid fun for us to really go all out like you might expect from something like this or from Go Onzer or whatever, where we have this kind of stuff happening more often.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, I'm giving it an 8 too.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. It's a harmless, fun episode that doesn't really add much. It's just fun for fun's sake.
Oh yeah, it's still an 8, definitely.
All right, 8s all across the board. Okay, let's move on to Bakuage 32, Hell's Train. This episode is a very...
Hey, yeah.
All right, next up we have Bakuage 32, Hell's Train, which is another crossover episode. Yeah, we got Go Onzer, and now we got... Okay, spoiler alert here, ToQger. Although, I'm intrigued to see what these other guys think about it. But yeah. So a good chunk of this episode is Sekito found Genba while he was hurt, and he helps him to safety, and he's helping him take care of his wounds, and then they encounter kind of nonchalantly Akira Ninjino. Who is this character, you might ask? Well, he is formerly Zarum and Tokyo Sixco from ToQger, the orange one. And Akira and Genba kind of bond in this episode because Akira finds Genba's quest for vengeance quite intriguing because, Genba claims that he has no right to live if he doesn't defeat Disrace, which is kind of very reminiscent of Akira's story, of him feeling like he had no right to live. And while all this is happening, the Boonboomgers, they're fighting against the latest train-based monster that the Hashirians have unleashed, and the Rainbow Line suddenly appears, and from it appears Right Suzuki, Tokyo Ichigo, and Right helps the Boonboomgers fight off the monster before disappearing. There's a couple of things kind of leads into the next episode where Akira tells Genba he shouldn't be looking for vengeance when he already has friends, and then he takes his leave from Genba. Oh, and also Genba does not transform into Boon Orange in this episode. But yeah, it's kind of a big deal that Right is appearing in this episode, though, because the guy who plays Right, Shisan Jun, is a very big actor in Japan now, and apparently was all over the news that he showed up. So, yeah, kind of a big deal. But yeah, what do we think about this episode, guys?
So I'll start off, given I thought Patrick would say something first, given he's the only one that hasn't seen ToQger. But I honestly, it took me by surprise how similar Akira and Genba were, given, they're both orange, and their stories are actually, they're not like a direct parallel, but I definitely see a lot of parallels between the two of them.
Yeah.
That I never considered until I watched the episode. And I thought that was really awesome to see that here. They're both kind of different from the rest of the cast. They have their tragic backstory, and they're both orange, and both kind of more loner-y, but they do learn to make friends with people that they need to for the team. Uh-huh. So I really like that parallel in this, and I like that they were able to bond and have that moment. And honestly, I don't know about you guys, Nate, Anthony, but I had a stupid smile on my face watching the ToQger stuff. Like, it was a lot of fun. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Like, I know the three of us, we reviewed ToQger like 10, 11 years ago when it first came out. And I think over time, we got a little bit more negative about ToQger than maybe we should have. And that's something that Nathan and I talked about in our Rail Rider podcast, that maybe we were being a little too harsh on it at the time, because I honestly think ToQger was not that bad of a Sentai, looking back at it.
I think what our issue was, we didn't like half the cast. That was our main issue.
Yeah, I only remember liking like one or two characters, I think. Maybe Green and Red, maybe? Was it Red?
It was actually well, I like pink, green, pink, and orange.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. I know there's only three of them I liked and three of them I didn't like.
Yeah.
But I don't know who it was I like and didn't like anymore. I know Green for certain. Pink was adorable. And Orange was definitely really fun. So that might have been it. But Patrick, what do you think, given you've never seen ToQger before?
I mean, clearly I don't understand full context of what this little get-together means, because I'm not familiar with Tokyo 6 in any way. But I think my takeaway from this episode is, I don't know, it just felt like that this episode didn't really have a reason to be a crossover episode. I mean, or at least Tokyo 1 had no reason being here.
He didn't. I think they'll just stick it to cool Cameo more than anything.
Yeah, because like
that's exactly what I was thinking.
In the Go-Onger episode, Sasuke, they had him show up for a reason. And in this episode, Tokyo 6 had a good reason being in this episode because he could compare it to his orange counterpart. But, yeah, like, Tokyo 1, I don't understand why he was here at all, other than, I guess, just because Red Ranger. But
Yeah,
it just
and like,
felt,
why
it,
did
just,
he
it
leave
felt a
all
little
of a
bit.
sudden?
It made the episode feel a little bit more hollow to me than compared to the Go Onger episode we got earlier. But I don't know if that's just because I have no familiarity with ToQger or not, but that's just how I felt about it.
No, I mean, I've seen ToQger, and I can understand why you would think that way about Wright being there, because honestly, he didn't really have a reason to be there aside from cool cameo, which I thought was really awesome. Not because I think Wright's character necessarily is on the same vein of awesome like Sosuke, but just to see more Rangers make cameos is always a fun time, I think. Unless it's certain characters, and I don't want to see them ever again. Not even talking about the obvious. I'm talking more about like the other characters who are just kind of boring, didn't really contribute a lot to the franchise.
Yeah, just like how you were talking about the King Ogres and Space movie, and I found out that King Ranger's in it. I don't want to see him again.
Also, on that note, sorry, Nate, I just want to say this real quick. For Patrick's sake, given he mentioned King Ranger, I learned, I think this morning, that the actor who played King Ranger in the movie is not the kid actor from 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, it's not? They didn't get him back?
Oh, they got a different person.
Okay.
Odd.
Go ahead, Nate.
Also, I'm just now remembering this, and maybe my mind is a little fuzzy, but why is Akira wandering all over the place and Wright is on the rainbow line? Because didn't ToQger end with the main 5 ToQgers, staying with their families, and then Akira, Conductor, and Wagon, and whatever the puppet guy's name was, didn't they leave on the rainbow line? I get that Sentai doesn't care much for continuity here, but the whole thing with Sosuke matched up decently with the continuity that they finish off with the Go-Ongers, so yeah, that's just kind of confusing to me.
I think that's because of the movie that we didn't see.
Yeah. There was a movie that
There's a
came
movie
out.
after where the ToQgers took up the mantle again.
Okay.
And they were they were their actual ages. They weren't children.
Yeah.
Would that explain why Akira can't transform though? Because
it's not that he can't transform. I think he didn't need to transform, right? Because Genba didn't transform. Akira, we didn't need Tokyo Orange. We needed Akira to talk to Genba. We didn't need a crossover of Tokyo Orange and Boom Orange. That wasn't necessary.
Although I would still enjoy it if I'm disappointed he didn't, but I get why he didn't.
No, I wanted him to Henson so badly. I was so mad when he didn't Henson, but at the same time, I
know.
understood because on the grander scheme of things, this effectively progressed our story while being a superficial looking filler episode, right? On the high level, nothing happens here, but if you really think about it, a lot happens here for Genba, which really sets up episode 33, 34, and 35.
Mm-hmm.
So this episode goes a long way in setting up what we're going to deal with for at least the next couple episodes in this review. Now, how does it affect 36 onwards? I don't know, because 36 just came out this past weekend and we haven't seen it yet.
I guess. Honestly, though, the stuff with Akira is great, but I just feel that the stuff with Wright is nothing more than just glorified fan service,
Agreed.
And the reason why this feels really disappointing is because Riz, when we first heard about the potential ToQger crossover, Riz was talking about how, they took advantage of a cool little dynamic they could have between Taya and Sosuke, with Boonboomger, and there's an opportunity for a dynamic between Wright and Taya, because they've been doing a lot trying to hint that Taya had a traumatic backstory, and Wright definitely had a traumatic backstory as a kid.
Yeah.
So, because he was literally a kid in an adult's body throughout ToQger, and they don't take advantage of that at all. Like, I mean, Wright only appears untransformed for like 2 seconds, to the point where it almost feels like they just brought him back just for the sake of, hey, we got this big actor who's big in Japan now to like lure over audiences for a couple of seconds,
Yeah.
So
And why do you all of a sudden just leave? That was just kind of just weird. Like,
I mean, okay, but this is. I may get some hate for this, but I don't really care. But this, to me, is not necessarily the same, but similar enough that I feel comfortable making the comparison of Austin St. John returning in Beast Morphers. He came back, but what did he really give to the story? He was just kind of there for a cameo.
Now, I could see that.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Like, he was there, he had one cool iconic line, and that was it. And he was gone. So, but the reason that Austin St. John's return was so cool is because he's a past red, he's the OG, and he's going to bring back fans to watch him alone. And I know ToQger Red and Austin St. John are nowhere near the same, but I mean, ToQger has a lot of fans in Japan. Yeah. So that could be a nice lure, especially given his notoriety today in Japan media.
Yep.
So I get why they did it. We've seen it before in Ranger itself. I personally don't think it's worth harping that hard on Wright being there. It doesn't hurt the episode, in my opinion. It doesn't really enhance it, but it doesn't hurt it. It's kind of like, cool, okay.
Yeah.
But my thing is, the stuff orange on orange, that's where the meat of this episode is, and that's where I think this episode really shines.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't know, that I originally had it as a 6, and I want to at least give it a 7, but I don't know, the stuff with Wright, like, I don't know, I think it would have worked a lot better if you just had the bulk of the episode revolve around his relationship with Akira, and you don't even have to have Akira transform, just have the bulk of the episode revolve around that, and then like maybe in a later filler episode you could have had Wright show up, because the timing of that, I mean, this is obviously supposed to be like a big climax for Genba's arc before we get to like him inevitably returning. But if that's the case, then you could have just held off on showing Wright, because they brought back Prince, the other Kyoryuger guy, very late into King Ogre, so you could have just done something like that. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, the stuff with Akira and Genba is genuinely great stuff, so I can't rate this episode too low at the same time.
No, I think you're being a little harsh when you say 6 or 7, but that's my opinion. I think it's still an 8. Because I think you're putting too much focus on Wright being there, and you're detracting away the attention from what I think is the more important part of this. Especially given I know you've seen the next 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And I know you understand the ramifications of Wright being there, helping a lot with getting where we are right now at the end of episode 35.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an unfair thing on our part to kind of detract away and say, oh, well, Wright didn't contribute, but he does, just not here, and not him directly, but his technology did. So
I guess that's fair.
That's my 2 cents. Take it or leave it, but I think that's an unfair statement on your part to say.
I think I could justify an 8 then, because I mean seeing Akira back is still pretty cool. So yeah, I guess I'll go with an 8.
Yeah, because I mean Akira really carried the episode for me.
Yeah,
he really did.
Patrick, what do you think?
I'm only going to give it a 7, mostly because this is on me, because I haven't seen ToQger. I don't really get the full impact of this episode. So I don't
And
really think I don't think I can accurately
I don't expect you to
fairly,
eight, though.
yeah, I don't think I can fairly judge this episode, but on its own merits, with me having no knowledge of ToQger at all, I think a 7 is pretty reasonable.
No,
I bet if I was more familiar with this, it'd be higher.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why I didn't really group you into that rant I gave Nathan just now, because Nathan, Anthony, and I have seen ToQger and they understand the stuff. You've never seen it.
This talk though has made me want to visit that season. Maybe not. Maybe for a podcast, maybe on my own times. But I feel like because this is the same person who wrote Shinkenger and Ginga Man and Time Ranger, right, Nathan? Same writer. Time Ranger.
Yep.
I feel like this. I feel like I have to watch this. This and Go Busters are the only 2 seasons she's written that I haven't watched yet. So I feel like I owe it to myself at one point.
And honestly, I feel like Nathan and I talked about it in one of our. We either discussed it in a Real Writer podcast directly or in one of our conversations around that episode, like when we're getting ready for it. But given ToQger was our first podcast series we did, and that was 10, 11 years ago, and given Real Writers will be coming to an end in December, I think, it would be pretty cool for us to binge the entire season in one go and do a quick recap of it 10 years later. What do we think of it? But also that'll give you a chance to kind of watch it for the first time and kind of chime in from a new perspective, which I'm very excited about, because this will be the first time in a long time where I'm not the guinea pig.
Yeah, it'll be the first time that you've seen the season and I haven't. And there's probably no other season that we can apply that to.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of others that I've seen that you haven't, but we just don't talk about watching those anytime soon in our podcast plan. Yeah. You haven't seen Zeodzer and I have, so
yeah. Whenever you guys plan on doing that, I'll definitely be up to watching ToQger, because it's not just you guys that have said that people have been too harsh on the season. I've seen that as a growing sentiment online in general. That ToQger it's aging better than most seasons have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example of something where I've done this before, where I started off not liking it, and then I started to like it as time goes on. Nate, here's an example that you'll understand given you were on the podcast for this. Phantom Menace. Yeah. I hated that movie when we were kids, watching it for the first time. I didn't think it was great. But now, we just did our Jedi Squadron podcast on that over the summer. And I think it's not a bad movie, honestly, now. But at the time, if you had asked me when I first watched the movie, in the early fandom days when I was first getting into it, I would have said, oh, this is garbage. It's a 2 out of 10. Mm-hmm. But now I think, what did I give it, Nate? A 7 or a 6? I don't remember.
Yeah, a 7, I think.
Yeah, so it went up. It went up a lot. So there are certain things that do age better than when you first watched them at the time.
Yeah, I think a good Toku example for me, and this might actually sound weird given how much praise I've been giving this season lately, but an example for me would probably be Jungle Fury, actually, because I was watching Jungle Fury when it aired, and I didn't think it was bad, don't get me wrong, but there was a general sentiment at the time, and given the fact that it was coming after Operation Overdrive, it wasn't entirely unjustified that the Disney era in Power Rangers was just terrible, and anything that Disney touched was bad. And not only that, but, the early Jungle Fury episodes, the writing quality isn't exactly as great because of the Writers Guild strike. But when you watch it all these years later, especially when you watch that second half, and not only that, but given the absolute nosedive in quality that the show kind of went down after RPM, Jungle Fury does actually, it was already pretty good, but it looks a lot better compared to what we were thinking about it at the time.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say on this tangential topic, in my opinion, it's a lot harder to find things that aged well that originally were not that great, compared to finding things that I started off thinking were fantastic, and now I think, why?
Yeah.
For example, Lost Galaxy. I was a staunch lover of Lost Galaxy before my rewatch, and then I watched. I was like, man, this didn't age well at all.
Yeah, that's kind of what our review series of Jetman made me do. Like, I still love Jetman, but it wasn't what I thought it was.
Dude,
I don't know. Maybe watching Ginga Man is also what kind of changed your opinion of it.
Yeah, because Ginga Man just has better writing in general than Lost Galaxy, pretty much.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, because I didn't really compare it a lot outside of the Mike Leo and the brotherly relationships back and forth between the two groups. Like, that's the only big complaint I really had that would be like a comparison to the Sentai. Everything else was just Lost Galaxy having bad writing that I didn't really catch on to the first time. Like, none of the Terror Adventure stuff really was something that I can blame watching Ginga Man on. And all the logistics of space travel, that's not Ginga Man's fault. That's Saban's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's me watching Ginga Man. I think it's me being older and understanding how stuff like that works.
We're going to revisit that topic we're going to revisit that topic of Terra Venture kind of making things stupid when we get to RPM, because Corinth has the same problem.
Yep.
Corinth has the same problem.
Patrick, I'm going to say it one more time for the podcast audience to remember this. I have zero memory of RPM.
No, you'll see it glaringly when we progress through RPM after this.
I don't know if I'm looking forward to RPM right now.
Oh, I'm not.
Anyway, let's move.
Let's go. All I was going to say is RPM before the rewatch, like right now in my mind, RPM was like a high B, low A tier for me. I don't know what it's going to become after this because I don't have high hopes.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move on to Bakuage 33, The Procurer Won't Give In, which we find out that the reason why Mad Rex wanted Taya to kill him is because he feels like he's lost everything to Disrace, and he's just all like, Disrace has taken everything from me, and I want to die. And, and he's trying to act like he's lost his memory because he kind of wants to spare the three Sand Cedar generals from knowing more about this. But he also tells Genba that even though Disrace did the pretty much what Disrace did to Genba, what he did to him, he tells Genba it's not too late for him to take control of his own destiny. And Genba, when he returns to Taya's house to deliver the message, he gets confronted by Shirabe. Shirabe gives him this pep talk alongside Boone, just telling him that, we understand, you want to have revenge, you want to get revenge and all that, but we're also here and we care about you. We want to help you. And that's when Genba realizes that despite everything that Disrace took from him, he still has something to hold on to. He still has a family. He still has, he still has a lot of things to make him happy. So he rejoins the team. They happily welcome him back. And with Genba rejoining the team, the Boonboomgers get this new kind of a Super Ranger form, and we could talk about this real quick, called the Champion Boonboomgers. They take pretty much what happens is that these jackets, they put them over their Ranger suits, and it's actually pretty cool because these jackets all have the different emblems of the Boom Boom cars, and when you tap the emblems, it gives the Boonboomgers weapons abilities based on the Boom Boom cars finishers. What do we think about this form, real quick, guys?
Want to know one of the reasons that made me really, really like this power up? Other than it being simple in that it was just like a leather jacket design, which I think is kind of cool. But this feels like a simplified, team-wide version of Kyoryu Carnival.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, actually.
Wait, explain yourself.
Because Kyoryu Carnival was basically King getting the powers to turn into a human-sized Kyoryugen, where he was using Kyoryugen's arm armaments for himself.
Combination.
But in this form, they're basically getting Boonboomger Robo's different forms infused into their own weaponry. So it's like mecha upgrades applied to the Ranger themselves, except it's team-wide. And I love this up team-wide upgrade. It's sick.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why you say that now. I had forgotten a little bit of how that worked for Carnival mode, but now that you reminded me, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I would say that this is it's a pretty simple thing. Like, they don't have to. I mean, it is a racing theme type of thing. So, just taking like the types of leather jackets that racers would wear in public and just putting them over the Ranger suit. I mean, that gets the job done. And I'm just now remembering that power up that they had in ToQger. That it actually looks a little bit better than that, because I wasn't a big fan of that ToQger power. But yeah, it works. I mean, it's a simple thing, but it gets the job done.
Yeah,
I really like them. I want one of those jackets. Like that's how cool I think it looks.
dude, I want a jacket so bad. And I'm so sad. I looked up the Japanese release of the jacket, and I want to say it's like $300.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah,
it's not surprising at all.
I was really annoyed. I really wanted one, but I don't want to spend $300 on a damn jacket.
And honestly, the more I think about it, this could seem very reminiscent of the super mode in Shinkenger, because what's Shinkenger's power up? You just take this sleeveless white jacket that looks like the jacket Kaiba wears a little bit in Yu-Gi-Oh! And just put it over the Ranger suit, and that's
does
it.
Look like Kaiba's jacket.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, at first when you think about it, you might think, this doesn't look that great. But honestly, the more I think about it, it's simple, but it gets the job done. But anyway, to wrap up how this episode ends, the Boonboomgers with their new power-up form, they defeat Mad Rex, and they actually destroy this chip that Disrace was using to control him. And Mad Rex regains control of his body, but he realizes that he's about to explode from all the energy that he was using. But he's happy that he can at least go out on his own terms. He says goodbye to the Boonboomgers, and he starts flying up into the air. And he wishes the 3 Sand-Seater generals well, and then he flies out into space and explodes. That's how the episode ends. What do we think about this one, guys?
Why was this episode so good?
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain something that the podcast audience wouldn't understand. But remember when we were recording the Go On Sir podcast?
Yeah, I had a feeling this is the episode you were talking about.
Okay, I messed up the episode number when I told y'all 34 was the best thing I've seen all season. It was actually 33. I just couldn't get my numbers straight. Yeah, this had no right going as hard as it did. It was so good.
All right. Genba's actor in that scene where he went back to their garage and Boon Dorio was, explaining how they were, still welcoming him back with open arms whenever he chose to came back, and they gave him the jacket. He just collapsed. God, man, that hit hard. That hit real hard.
And can we just explain that how Mad Rex literally, like, even though he was the villain of the show, I really felt bad for him.
I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make me root for the villain who I despise because he was so good at being a villain?
Plus, I love his rivalry with Taya. It was really really good too.
I have so many thoughts about that rivalry and what are we going to do now that he's actually gone for gone.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Like, I'm worried about Taya's character development, if I'm being honest with y'all.
Yeah.
But that's something to talk about later on. But this episode went super hard. I think it's one of the best episodes in the season. And this is going to deserve a 10 out of 10 from me. I don't care what you guys say.
Yeah, it's a 10.
Oh,
10.
yeah, that's definitely a 10 out of 10 for me as well.
It's like the moment
for Madrak and for Genba's
it's like
coming back.
Genba had two moments. The first one we were talking about when he collapsed in the garage and was crying while holding the jacket. That I was trying to fight back the tears when that scene hit. But then the scene later where he walked up to the team and Taya got up and said, "ToQger, what have you brought for me today?" And then he looked at him and said, "Obviously me." And I was like,
dude,
okay.
That scene. I was like, what do I do with this?
I was like,
oh,
dude, Genba, I can't like you enough, man. Quit.
Right. And let's not forget, y'all, he used the exact same those little like what was it? I forgot what it's called. It was the same thing he used when he was saving Taya from Madrex the very first time, if you remember.
What, the manhole cover?
I think so.
Manhole cover, that's what I was trying to think what it was called. Manhole cover, thank you.
He threw that same manhole cover.
Oh, that was a cool callback. They had to feel that hard. I was like, I love the detail.
I had this dumb smile on his face when he says, "Well, I delivered myself." I was like, okay. Yeah, no, this I agree with Riz. Up to this point, this might be the best episode of Boonboomger so far.
Yeah.
Once this episode got started, it didn't stop. There was no dead moments in this episode at all.
And spoilers for episode 34 and 35, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop going hard.
No, it doesn't.
Help.
And again, I'm just like this continues to just blow my mind, because I remember when I saw the posters for this Sentai and thought, okay, it's probably going to be stupid, but I mean it'll probably work in the same way Car Ranger worked. Like, this Sentai doesn't have any business handling serious moments like this so well, but
it feels like I know that we've made so many Go-Onger comparisons since the start of this review series, but this feels like Go-Onger if it tried to play things more serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the ultimate comparison, which is going to floor all three of you plus our audience.
Okay.
There has only been 2 Sentai, including Boonboomger, that has gotten me so hyped that I start clapping and going, "Oh, hell yeah, this is about to get real."
Mm-hmm.
Boonboomger, Gokaiger.
Oh, okay.
Both of them have... I don't care that you don't see it, Patrick.
No, I mean, I don't think that Boonboomger has had a moment compared to, like, ToQger's revelation in Shinkenger or Rackless's revelation in King Oger yet.
No, not yet, but it's coming, I think.
This season has the potential to give us a moment like that.
It does, because every time, like, it's not in this episode, but there's an episode 2 episodes down, 35, where literally I could have been like, okay, this is a marvelous moment where you walk in all badass swagger and you're ready to kick ass and take names. Like, this season has no right to do that. They're not. But they're doing it, and they're doing it so freaking well.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10 out of 10, would never complain.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on to Bakuage 34.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me as well.
Dreams. This is the beginning of a 2-parter where, so at the beginning of this episode, Boon reveals this new Boom Boom car that he created to go with the champion mode, called the Champion Carrier. It's a truck, trailer truck one that can be used to carry all the Boom Boom cars. And the Boonboomgers, they're traveling to this big race thing when they get attacked by the Hashirians. And they fend off the attack, and then they get confronted by Disrace. Disrace apparently recognized Boon during the fight. And we find out that Boon was actually previously a Hashirian, and Boone confesses that he apparently joined the Hashirians briefly after he left the BBG. And the Boonboomgers themselves, everyone dismisses it, but Boone D is enraged, and he leaves in a huff. He doesn't want to work with the Boonboomgers or Boone. And at the end of this episode, we get introduced to the Hashirian's main boss, Spinder, who he apparently thought that Boone was dead, and now he knows that Boone is alive, and he's not too happy about it. What do we think about this one, guys?
So,
before we continue, I have to point out something out real quick.
Go for it.
So there was actually there was actually a small. You will blink and you'll miss it. Go on your cameo from a it's not really a character per se. It was they used some of this character's costume pieces for that look. Can you guys guess who it is?
Was it that guy that got blown up at the very end of the episode?
Yep.
Wait, what?
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, there was a Go-Onger villain that was used for the costume for the monster that got destroyed at the end of the episode.
Are we talking Monster of the Week, or are we talking like a
the guy in Spinder's room that he blew up at the very end?
Yeah.
I don't remember him in Go-Onger.
No, the head.
But you won't see him until like way later. It's like he appears
okay.
like way later in the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I know.
And he was an RPM, so if you ever watch RPM, you'll see that character too.
Okay, so
I have no memory of RPM.
The thing I wanted to bring up is I want to go back an episode, because during the part where Genba was in the garage and Bundorio was going on about how, everybody was welcoming back and everything, Bundorio made a passing remark where he says, I'm not as good as you think I am either. And at the time when I was watching that episode, I didn't make anything of that. And then they turn right around and like, wait a minute, they were foreshadowing something here.
I didn't notice that either. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they foreshadowed it the episode before. I was like, okay. Nice. But yeah, the season just doesn't quit, man. It just doesn't quit.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, what Patrick just said kind of changed my perspective, because I felt like, I didn't feel like the Boone stuff kind of felt truly earned with the plot twist. Like it was different with Genba because it was out of nowhere, but they were subtly kind of implying it. With Boone, it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but yeah, at the same time, yeah, Patrick's right. In the previous episode, Boone did kind of hint, yeah, I'm not exactly, a guy who doesn't have any blood on my hands either. Like, So yeah, it actually does feel properly earned the more I think about that. So yeah,
it was a throwaway line in the previous episode too, and then it's like, wait a minute.
And that's part of the beauty of Boonboomger, in my opinion, is that they sprinkle these small things that you don't ever think will mean anything. And then next thing you know, it's a major plot device. Looking at Genba's freaking lollipop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, never would have imagined that'd be a plot point.
Me neither.
I don't really think we can talk much about this episode unless we talk about the next one.
So to answer Nathan's question, 10 out of 10, moving on, let's go.
Yeah, I think
I don't think it's on the level of the last one. It's still a 9 though, easily.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because I think I know what I'm gonna do for the next one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 9 too. And I'm not sure if this is actually accurate or not, but I was really getting off like Mad Max Fury Road vibes when I was watching this episode. I'm not sure if y'all ever seen that movie before, but
I have. I didn't get vibes from that. I This might sound stupid because I don't think it's a real comparison I can make, but watching them on the train scene, or what seemed like a train scene that was really the truck bed, it felt like Back to the Future Part 3 with them.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it felt like that to me, which is not a real comparison because it has nothing to do with, like, they're not in the same kind of thing, but that's what I was reminded of heavily the entire time. Like, dang, this is like a Back to the Future type thing.
Yep.
But yeah, 9.5 for me.
Yeah, I originally
I'm gonna give it a 9 as well.
I originally gave it a 7 because of the issues I just had said earlier, but now that I've heard this completely different perspective, there's no way I can justify that. It's a 9.
What were you giving it before?
I was giving it a 7 because I personally didn't feel like the twist with Boone turning out to be a Hashirian felt earned, but then I just heard everything that Patrick just had to say, and yeah, I mean, it's completely convinced me. So yeah, I can't even argue with any of that logic.
Good job, Patrick. You've showed him delight in the error of his ways.
Yep.
Hold on, says here, Anthony, I was looking up this character that got blown up because I was curious about if I could find anything about this. Apparently he's a mishmash of like 3 characters' bodies.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now too.
His head is from a character from ToQger, I think. Oh, he was in the ToQger, the Go-Onger tribute episode, and then
right, that's what it was from. Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, so Super Sentai does that thing too, where like they take a monster and they.
Yeah, he was he looked like he was just a reused asset suit, because I guess that character's never coming back.
So, just to throw it out there, do you really think Saban was smart enough to come up with the idea of reusing monster parts and suit parts like in that way without seeing it done by Toei first?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one time that I remember them doing that was for an admittedly great team up episode, but all 3 in the Wild Force Time Force episode, the Mutorgs were all just a bunch of assorted previous monster things just jumbled together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean the one that's probably the most obvious is that one that has the body and head of Deviot's mutated form, but everything else, yeah. But yeah, I guess Super Sentai does that too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, I remember in Power Rangers in Space, that episode where they create that monster that can switch bodies and turns Astronema into Ashley. They used like 3 or 4 different like Big Bad Beetleborg monster suits in that. So, yeah, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So anyway, last episode of this batch is called Bakuage 35 Blue Champion, where we figure out more about that plot twist we had in the previous episode. Boone was still racing in the BBG, and he was given this part to upgrade his racer by a mysterious fan. And Boone was desperate to win because he was on a losing streak. And turns out it was an illegal upgrade. And he was facing a scandal, and he wanted to avoid any public smearing of his team and avoid BMD taking any hit. So he opted to forfeit his license. And broken and depressed, Boone spent his post-racing life wandering before being found by Spinder. Spinder is the guy who sent in the part. And he manipulated Boone at his lowest point, leveraging him into joining the Hashirians and working behind the scenes on illegal parts. And eventually Boone realized what Spinder was up to, and he tried to work with the police to take him down. But Spinder's been able to avoid charges due to him being in cahoots with the police. And now Spinder has his sights set on killing Boone for revenge. But everyone pretty much forgives Boone for this. They appreciate his honesty and they shrug off his past actions. And even Boone D forgives him for what he did because he realizes that Boone did it for him. And Disrace, meanwhile, tries to take advantage of this supposed temporary disarray of the Boonboomgers, and he tries to go after the Boonboomgers himself. He captures Boone D and then takes them on personally, but the main 5 Boonboomgers, they free Boone D, they transform, they fight alongside Boone, and they're able to combine all their Boom cars with the Champion carrier to form Champion Boonboomger Robo, and they defeat Disrace for good. And before we talk about this this episode, what do we think about Champion Boonboomger Robo, guys?
I kind of like how it has their like wheel visors kind of like in a row along the top of it. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine. It looks better than some of the other forms that Boonboomger Robo's taken up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one a lot more, but it's
Indeed.
not like it's still not one of my favorite mechs, but it definitely is one of the better ones I've seen this season.
Mm-hmm.
My only fear is, because here's the thing, this is around the time when the final Ultimate Mech appears, because this was around the time when, this was definitely around the time that Kanzen Gokaio and Samurai Hao first appeared, and spoiler for Riz, this is going to be around the same time that Ingeno G12 is going to appear. Sorry about that, Riz.
I already knew that. Thanks.
Oh, okay. If this is the final Robo for Boonboomger, then I can't help but just feel disappointed because
I don't think it is.
Okay, I'm really hoping that that's not the case.
It can't be. This is.
How come Sakito and Boone D don't have any place in this mech then?
That's why I'm saying it's not the final form yet, because they haven't really integrated Sakito and Boone D in yet. So
Also, there's another thing. Also, there's another thing that leads me to believe that we're not done getting mechs either, because one thing that the intro has done, and no one's brought this up because it hasn't really meant anything, but as they gain new Boonboomger vehicles, the shots of their team cards in the intro starts filling up with icons for all the Boonboomger vehicles. In this last episode, there was 3 empty slots still.
Okay.
So I don't think their arsenal's done being built up yet.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
Okay, I hope.
Also, I gotta say this before we continue.
The closest thing we got to a combination with Boone D was not a good mecha combination, so I'm hoping they can make up for that. Anyway, what were you going to say, Anthony?
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the community notes from last episode on a wiki page. It did reference the Mad Max Fury Road stuff, so it was a reference to it. I'm actually catching on. I was like, dang, I didn't know that was actual reference. But yeah, it's actual reference. So I know somebody in the comment section gonna be like, actually there was a little thing on the comment section. Now that we got nip in the butt, I just want to nip in the butt before somebody else did.
We just talked about how we feel about this mech. Now we can talk about how we feel about the episode, guys.
This episode has one of my favorite jokes in the season so far, where they were like, "Come here, Boonboomgers," and they just immediately show up in the warehouse.
Yeah, that was funny. I love
that. I like how they're like, "I knew you were fast, but this is ridiculous."
Okay, that was the Gokaiser moment when they all appear doing the badass thing. You know, that's the
that was great.
Or what about that moment where they show up and then I think Disrace somebody shot an energy blast at him and supposedly killed them, and then the Sandseeder generals are like, "Did we get him? Did we get him?" And then the other guys are like, "No, you know how this thing is going to go down. We didn't get him. We didn't get him."
Right.
Yeah, if it looks like we got them, then it usually means we didn't.
That's pretty great.
They're becoming self-aware.
Yeah.
This is Car Ranger humor. level.
Mm-hmm.
Only gripe with this episode, really, and me and Nate been talking about this through text message. Sakito, 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 what are you doing, man?
Yeah, well, he's just
I was
standing
low key
around.
trying to root for him, and I was low key trying to like to see, like, you know what, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's not like other Six Rangers or whatever. He's trying to do his own thing. But the thing is, though, he's not doing anything of
I know, why was he
importance.
standing?
Like,
Why was he standing around during this final fight scene in this episode?
I have my theory on why. I don't particularly like it because I do agree with Nathan and Anthony because Nathan and I have had a similar conversation. But my thinking is that Sakito is not joining for the Grand Prix race or whatever you call it, and like later on in the season, and he's his own like mercenary that they keep mentioning over and over again, like Tai is paying him to do X, Y, and Z thing for him. So I don't think Sakito is really considered part of the main team that's going to go do the racing in the future.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he doesn't have a jacket, and that's why he's not integrated into the form yet.
Or just
now,
or he doesn't have any. He doesn't have a jacket because the Six Rangers never get the team-wide upgrades.
No,
I mean, has there ever been a Sixth Ranger that got the team-wide upgrade?
I thought, no, maybe he didn't get it. Genta.
He used he used the hyper form once.
Yeah.
Okay.
He never used Super Shinken. Super Shinken.
Unless you count the movies, because he did use it in the crossover.
He used it in the Shinkenger versus Goseiger movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought I saw a video.
But I meant like.
Wait, Abar Killer had a Abar mode, so that's one thing. Although,
but that's not the same as the other three.
That just sounds like that was more just like an inherent ability that the Abar Rangers had.
Okay.
Yeah, they literally because unlike in Down Thunder, everybody could use it like literally in the very first episode.
Well, no,
small spoilers, by the way.
Wait, couldn't Star Ninja could use the Cho Zetsu mode? Although I don't think the girls were able to use that one.
Yeah, that was literally the only mode that girls couldn't use. I know. What was her name? Shiro Ninja used it, but she was in her human form when she used it. It was weird.
Well, according to the wiki here, it says that Kirame Silver has the same like Go or whatever you call it power up mode that these main 5 Rangers had. So I guess that's the one example. Anthony, you've seen Kira Major, so back us up.
I don't remember him having the power up. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's more just like a Sentai tradition where it's just the core guys get the team upgrade. But
and then honestly,
he would look really cool with it.
Ranger,
he would.
What's that?
He would look good with a jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every now and then the 6th Ranger gets like his own personal thing, like Shurikenja had that fire mode or Super Samurai mode in a Ninja Storm, and Maji Shine could transform into that. I guess it was called Heavenly Saint mode. Like, I don't know, Daggeron used it in Mystic Force like every once in a while, but yeah, they never have like the exact same thing as like the other Rangers do.
But going off of the talk of Sakito while we're on this, before we get to the praising of the rest of the episode, having just finished watching, because I know these episodes are going up out of order, but we've recorded the Go On Wings arc in Boonboomger, and they've made me realize just how mishandled this character is, because the Go On Wings are kept separate from the Go-Ongers, and there's a reason for it. It feels like Boom Violet is kept separate from the Boonboomgers, but there's no real reason for him to be kept separate. And
That's what I'm saying.
I don't like how they're handling this guy.
Yeah, I don't think like when he first came on the scene, I thought he'd be like not quite Zermy level, but approaching Zermy level, you know? But he's not even close to that.
No. Like he feels like the mega blocks to the Go-Onger's Lego. Like he just feels like a cheap, lazy attempt at the Go-On wings.
Yeah, I want to like this character, and to be fair, I don't think he's going to. I don't feel like he's ever going to drop so bad to where I would unironically be considering putting him in like my bottom 5 Sentai Sixth Rangers. But
Nah, Kiba Ranger and King Ranger are kind of in the basement where they belong, and it's hard to get down there with those two.
Yeah, but if he continues on this, like his ceiling is like a B tier Ranger. Like he, I don't know, like he's just because of his backstory and the fact that he's kind of a little bit better acted, I would say that he's a slightly better version of Gao Silver, which I know Patrick and Riz haven't seen Gao Ranger, but Gao Silver is basically just a knockoff.
Out of all the 6,
Merrick does.
Yeah, out of all the 6 Rangers I've seen, I would probably put him on the par of on the level with Mega Silver.
Yeah.
Where like he's not a bad character, but if you removed him from the series, you wouldn't lose anything.
Actually, yeah. The more I think about it, yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I have to say, someone who's watched Mega Ranger, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't seen Mega Ranger, but I wouldn't necessarily say that Sakito has 0 impact on the season. Now, I don't know how it is for Mega Silver, but
no, he has more
have impact.
Yeah, he has more impact on the season than Mega. Mega Silver might be the most pointless 6th Ranger in Sentai. Like, he's not a bad character, but he contributes nothing to Mega Ranger.
He's more useful as a civilian, like helping out because he helps out the team or whatever. He's not like
yeah, no, he actually becomes more useless when he henshins.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the thing I'll say about Sakito and his impact is not even Sakito directly impacting, which is really sad, but it's Boon D. Boon D is very big right now in the season for me. Like the entire moment with him and Boondario, that stuff was pretty deep. And
yes, it was.
If you didn't have Sakito, you wouldn't have that. But it's also not Sakito and his character development. It's the character development of another character he's friends with.
Yeah, like Boon Diesel is... I like him more.
Yeah.
I agree with that sentiment.
But how come he isn't also fighting? Because, like, after that big revelation, if we're talking about this episode, after him realizing that, you know, Boon did it for him, having him fight alongside... Boon in the final battle just makes it much more of an imperative, in my opinion.
Is it okay? Do you think it's like a production thing where they didn't want to, like, focus on the champion mode because that's the new gimmick we have?
I guess, but
so they left Violet out of the fight on purpose just to highlight the new mode.
Because they're trying to say, "Hey, buy the new toys, kids! Buy them." Because we got to remember, end of the day, Toei is a toyetic company. That their main focus is on the toys, not on the TV show.
I can see that being the real reason. Yeah. That's still stupid. Just have him not. Just have like it to where like Boon D got injured and then Sakito had to take him away. Like there, we wouldn't have this issue.
Now I will say one thing related to Sakito and Boon D that I do like was the Boom Boom Mock Robo ToQger custom that they had at the beginning of episode 33, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool that they were able to do that.
Yeah, equip the ToQger parts to him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like a thing they're going to keep doing, or if it's going to be like a one-off thing, like where they do it for like 1 or 2 episodes, and they're like, we're done with him. We don't need that anymore.
Yeah, remember when the King Ogres used Gabutero once and then never again?
That's why I'm kind of wondering how long it'll last for, because that's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, it feels very similar to that. But as for the good of this episode, thank you for letting Genba have the killing blow on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. This episode was so satisfying because I was getting real sick of this. What's his name again?
Disrace.
I was getting real sick of this guy.
So Disrace is now a disgrace.
Yes. He always was.
Anthony, not you too.
Anthony, no, I'm so proud of you.
I mean, the joke was right there because his name was a pun. It wasn't even a subtle one. But no, like this episode was great. I like how this story kind of like ties everything together. Like he didn't just run away; he fell into a desperate depressive state, and ended up doing something he regretted, and he's trying to make amends with it. Like Boondora is not a bad dude at all. He just hit a low point, and seeing him actually get engaged in the fight in this episode was awesome. Like
having him in the like posing thing with the symbol.
Oh yeah, and the roll call, and yes,
that was sick. And I was so pissed. I can't express to you guys how pissed I was that Sakito and Boon D were not there.
Yeah,
they should have been in this. I don't care. They didn't have a jacket. They didn't need a jacket to be part of that pose.
No.
I mean, honestly, I can't even. Now, granted, part of it is because Genba was kind of sidelined for a couple of episodes, but I can't remember. I could probably count the number of episodes where Sakito has actually fought alongside the Boonboomgers, like an actual Sixth Ranger, on probably one hand in this whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's not a good thing. I mean, if they were taking the route of having him be similar to what Naoto or even the Go On Wings are to their respective teams, then it's fine. But no, I mean, he's going to their base and like eating curry with them and acting all pally McPow with them half the time. So it just doesn't make that much sense to me.
So I'm saying it's like they're trying to have the Rebel Ranger while also having him be on good terms. You can't do that. You got to have one or the other.
Yeah.
And it really feels like they don't know what to do with this guy.
But the other thing I'll give this for Boone's backstory is that, so we're very clearly entering what's going to be like a closing arc, not the end game arc, but like the final. Like this is one of those Sentais where they change the main general every couple of episodes. Like you started with Mad Rex, then we got Cannonborg, then we brought back, then we had Disrace. So this is going to be like the beginning of an arc where like the main bad guy is now showing up. And Boone's backstory is a great way to really just kind of make you hate this Spinder guy before even seeing him because of what he did to Boone.
It was also a good way to introduce him because I was curious when the actual main like leader of the Hashirians was going to get involved. And this was a great way to get him involved. Yeah, now it's personal. It's personal.
And can we just say that this dude still managed to even still be able to run his evil organization while still being in prison? Do you know how crazy that is?
He's just a kingpin.
Yeah.
He bought the police off. That's how the kingpin works in Marvel.
No, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. And honestly, like, I mean, to be fair, the guy arc is just, although they'll get a little bit better. I would say that, like, the Hashirians are probably, like, the best villains out of all these car-themed Sentais. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the Boma from Turbo Ranger because they're not good. And the Bozuk, okay, they're entertaining. I'll give them that. But
I don't think you can compare the Bozuk to any of these others because they're just. Where do we even start? I don't even know where to begin with those guys.
Yeah, they're entertaining. I'll give them that, but but not on the same league. So yeah, this is and honestly, like just with how some of the villains' dynamics work, like with Mad Rex and those three guys, and the fact that they make Dis Race out to be this really hateable villain, and now how they're introducing Spinder, like I never would have thought that this would have given us much more interesting villains than what King Oger gave us last time, but I mean, again, here we are, and this season keeps proving me wrong. I mean, I know Dog Dead was kind of a big villain in that he's kind of on the Thanos level in terms of his threat level, but he wasn't that interesting of a character, if we're being honest.
Do Bicycle Seed Head? Yeah.
Yeah. But, I thought, I mean, I can't give this episode a 10 because the way that they handle Sakito and Bune at the end really irritated me, but I'd still say that it's worth a 9 at least.
No, that part ticks me off too, but I just think the substance of this episode is too good for me to not give it a 10. It's a 10. It's just...
That's fair.
It gives great closure to Genba's arc, and he got his payback, and now he's at ease, and now we've got Boone's character arc starting up, and this is probably the beginning of the eventual lead into the end game. And man, what a great episode to do it.
I know, right?
Riz, Anthony, what do you want to give it?
I'm having a hard time deciding between a 10 and a 9.5. Because I agree with Patrick that while Sakito annoyed me, this is still a freaking 10 given everything that's been building up to. And, okay, so while I don't like what they did to Sakito's character, I'm able to look beyond it and love everything else going on. And to me, the assist Sakito is still a work in progress, right? Like, we're still probably another 15 episodes from the end, if I had to guess. Maybe 12.
More likely.
So we have some time for Sakito to still turn it around, right? Like, other characters have done way better, like, have done other arcs, like, where they went from being kind of crap, like, not worth really being a character, to being really awesome. Looking at last season with Black, I mean, we didn't see that coming with him being a pretty awesome character at the end, but he did it.
There's like 7 things at the end of King Oger that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Right, but Hatsi being one of them, like like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming even a mile away. So, given we're in this new Reiwa era, I'm not going to say right now that I think Sakito not having character development is a bad thing just yet. Now, if we get to the end of the season, he's still the same as right now, then we'll have a talk about like how much I don't like him. But I'm not going to let that one critique sour it. In the same way, I don't think it was fair to sour the ToQger crossover with the fact that, Wright didn't really do anything. The impact of that episode is still being felt even right now in 35. So that's what I was trying to get at earlier, is that, hey, these episodes are all leading into each other in a really good way, and we're getting a lot of really awesome development for the overall story, and planting these random seeds that we're not going to expect in 2 episodes from now are leading to something even crazier that we don't even see yet.
Yep.
So I just talked myself into giving this a 10. You're welcome.
I think I'm going to give it a 10 too. Like I said,
I'll go up to a 10 as well.
Yeah. Because like I said, like you guys said, it isn't really, we can't really like let Boon Violet sully this moment,
Yeah.
Okay, now we don't usually, usually this is where we would update our tier rankings, but we've switched over to a new format, so we don't have to do that until we get to the end of this season. Do we have anything else we want to add, guys?
Well, I was curious about how they were going to go into space, but we saw their new trailer thing fly, so that answers that question.
Yeah.
But now the question I have is, just looking at the poster for the final lap, as they're calling it, I'm curious as to how the Go-Kaisers are going to factor into this, because we saw their flag on the poster. We know they're going to be here in some capacity.
So I think I told Nathan this the other day, and I know this might be a spoiler for something else that we talked about recently. So you and Anthony tell me if you guys want me to give the spoiler. And for those in the audience listening, this is your chance to like skip ahead like 30 seconds or not. That's up to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So up to you guys, whatever y'all want.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So there is a scene in King Ozer in space with Hachi and Marvelous talking. And from what I understand, that scene takes place before Marvelous comes into the Boonboomger universe or Boonboomger season. So I'm kind of thinking that the King Ozer in Space movie will be linked to Boonboomger somehow. And that'll be how Marvelous and Ahim are related to the season. Now,
I also heard that Sasuke was supposed to be coming back.
He is. He's definitely coming back.
Oh, is Speedor going to be a part of this Grand Prix?
Dude, he has to be part of it.
I know.
It has to happen.
Also, having Sasuke and Marvelous on the same screen for a second time is going to be chaos, because that worked so well the last time.
Dude, I'm so ready for that. You have no idea.
No, it'll be great to have Gokai Red and Gohan Red on the screen together. It'd be a mess.
I know I've talked about this in the past in some other podcasts, but I got to say it again. I know I wasn't a PMC this year. I know I got to miss out on seeing Ryota Ozawa and insert Gohan Red's actor name here together. But all of their interactions that I saw at PMC just hyped me up even more.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I get to meet Ryota Ozawa in like a little under a month has me really hyped right now.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
So it looks like the final arc of this season is going to be pretty interesting, because there's a lot of directions they could take this, and I'm interested to see where they go with this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, either way, they're going to go on a really good path.
Mm-hmm.
Ha ha ha. Okay, cool.
I'm not even going to acknowledge it. just shake your head and move on.
Anyway, so yeah.
Hey, Patrick, you know those haters gonna hate sunglasses?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got them on right now.
The 8-bit sunglasses just fall from the sky and deal with it.
Yep.
Anyway, so for everybody back home, that wraps up this one. We will revisit Boonboomger again to go up to Bakuage 40. And next time we come to you guys, we'll be taking a look at Go-Onger's GPs 15 through 20, the long-awaited debut of the Go-On Wings. And we got a lot of stuff prepared for you guys well into next year. We got our next couple of Sentais that we're going to be taking a look at after Go-Onger, all planned out. Not going to spoil anything. We will reveal those to you as we finish each of our Sentais. But with that said, we will see you guys next time when we revisit Go-Onger. We're looking forward to finishing up Go-Onger before the year ends, as well as wrapping up Boonboomger. Got a lot of fun stuff planned for you guys. And we'll see you next time with Go-Onger. But until then, bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other Tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of Tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.